in our society, we expect a whole lot of ourselves. And a lot of what we expect doesn't match the reality of how we feel and who we are. So when you talk about fear coming up, it right away takes us to the 5 core emotions. Fear is one of them. Another one of them is anger. Another one of them is love, tribal love, not kind of romantic love, but tribal love. Another one is disgust, which is a little strange perhaps, but we'll explain it. And then the 5th one is shame. Now, so take yourself back and imagine that you're living in the wild somewhere. What do you need to survive? Well, you need to know what to be angry at or about so you can do something. But if that doing something isn't going to work because what you're angry with or about is too big for you, could be a large wild animal, could be a tornado coming, then you need to know what to be afraid of. It goes right to fear. Okay, I'm not able to conquer this with the emotion of my anger. So what does my fear tell me to do? It tells me to run. It tells me to hide. Then you go to tribal love. That's what keeps the tribe together. That's what keeps you from being all alone, is that there's this basic need to come together with other human beings. If human beings aren't there, then it's going to be animals around you that you can make friendly, whatever. We all know stories of people who have been raised with wolves or such as that may be. But that is a core emotion, looking for what my tribe is. And that comes out as a type of love. Then we come to disgust. That's just really basic. No, don't eat that. It's icky. That helps you survive. Helps you figure out how to nourish yourself without poisoning yourself and hurting yourself in some way. It also has some other applications discussed, but primarily we can think of it in that kind of way in terms of what to eat or not. And then there's shame. Now this is probably the most interesting one because we don't tend to think of that as a core emotion. But shame is a way for the tribe to keep us with the tribe. So it's a way of saying, no, you're going a little too outside the limits here. Come on back. Most of us tend to have experienced shame as a really ugly, kind of not constructive emotion at all. But at the basic level, all it is an invitation to come back. And when you come back, if you've left the tribe and then you go and you start feeling ashamed about what you've done, how you've been different from them perhaps in a way that's not acceptable, you come back, the tribe welcomes you. It's like, oh good, you figured it out and you came back. So even shame does not need to be an emotion that we run from. But now we go back to the question of fear. So it has a strong link to what we may be angry about. What anger first came up, that something was very overwhelming and we wanted to do something about it, so we had the anger feeling. That generally comes up when you're really little and something goes wrong, you're angry about it. But you're little and your anger is not going to serve you. And so you begin to turn to the fear. Okay, well, I'm not going to go back there again because that's fearful. And fear begins to color your experience of life, your daily way of thinking and being. And you put it together with the other core emotions that we find that are still within us. They're still in our lower brain. They're still the biggest part of our motivating. And yet in our culture right now, there's not a lot of use for them in the way that we could have used them before. We turn them inward, become angry with ourselves, fearful within ourselves. We don't quite know who to love. We turn to romantic love like it's going to save us. If this person does not love me, I'm going to die. Instead of having a larger tribe that protects us with that kind of love. And then you go to disgust, and I don't, it probably applies the same way. Not eating icky things. But you go to shame, and shame begins to color so much of our emotion. We don't feel good enough because we don't know that tribe of love. We don't know who's calling us and telling us to come home. There kind of isn't anybody very often. And so we tend to feel really alone. Being angry doesn't serve us so much, so we do turn to that fear. Into fear that we're not going to be good enough, fear that this, that, all over the place. Can't get on a plane and fly. Just all the common fear of being in crowds. Go on and on and on. Put your own fear in there. But the thing that's most important for you to know is, number one, at the core of it, it's a normal, natural thing. All the core emotions are there because they're normal and natural. And they're there to help you navigate as a human being. And so perhaps, for just a little bit, step back from that fear for just a few minutes. Kind of look at it as a little fear baby. And go, okay, fear baby, what is it that you're telling me? You're trying to give me information, and I'm taking you as something more sinister than that. But if all you're doing is giving me information, then let me sit here for just a minute. I'm going to hold you, look down in your hands. I'm going to hold this little fear baby and let you begin to tell me what you're about. The fear baby tells you that she or he is related to anger. Well, then go back to anger and do the same thing. Begin to see that these feelings that you have that are so strong and that keep coming back are there for your good. They're trying to tell you something. And denying them, pushing them away, in no way helps the situation. It only lengthens the process of you finally coming to the point where all of your emotions are welcomed. You don't have to act on any of them. But in their purest form, all of them are there to help you.